This is IBM Museum. Back when I was looking over the Model 50 hard drives, I also discovered a 45 megabyte hard drive for the Model 3286. And that was the last released submodels of that Model 3286 that happened actually in 1991, so fairly late in the game. And I wanted to go through and see if I can find what exists on this drive, if it even works. I don't know how I came by it. I don't know if I've tried it before. Currently, I've got the 30 megabyte drive that was very common with the Model 3286 in there, and I'm going to go through and get this swapped, and I'll actually get it started up because this is the system that I have all the 16 megabyte of adapter memory on, system and adapter memory, and so that RAM count is rather slow. This system does have a Kingston upgrade on it, but if you don't run the program that turns on the cache, it just runs it really slow. Ooh. I'm not hearing that spin up at all. And it may have what they call stiction, where that yeah. I'm going to go through and power down and then power back up. I want to see if it'll spin up. It looks in very good condition otherwise. Now I have a reference diskette standing by in case I need to as well. Yeah, I'm hearing initial I hate to go through and cycle this thing on and off, but I'm not really hearing anything more than just a you could hear me laugh because it spun up finally. We could still have hard drive errors, but that's a common thing that you see with those old drives is that they get that stiction. They get the head stuck on the platters, and it is enough to where the motor doesn't spin up. The platter motor doesn't spin up. And let me show, and this is actually a browser page that I can go over, and this is an announcement letter for this, the Model 3286 with the 45 megabyte hard drive. And I've even seen where there's been YouTubers that have spotted this announcement letter, and they think that the Model 3286 was released in 1991, and that's very late in the game for a 286 class processor. And so let's go through, and I know this memory count on the system is going to take a very, very long time. But there's the announcement letter for that. And OS 2 Extended Editions versions 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. And of course, they're just thinking that it's a 286 CPU on there. They're not expecting the system to have an upgrade of the Kingston 386 Now upgrade that I have in there. And on that 30 megabyte drive, I actually do have Windows 3.1 that runs in 386 enhanced mode with the amount of memory and that Kingston upgrade. And I don't have the Kingston utility that enables the cache. In other words, gets the processor operating in an optimal way. I don't have that automated like in the auto exec bat. I just go through it manually right now. But there is the announcement letter for that model with the 45 megabyte hard drive, and this goes on and on forever. Go back up here to the top. I'm hearing the hard drive. I'm hearing the hard drive. Okay. So we're getting, as expected, a configuration error. And we have the starter diskette at the ready to go through. Okay, automatically configure the system. And it's doing that because it has a label on the drive that this is a type 37. Okay. So could not find the, I'll have to look through because I don't, and this is going to boot through, I think, all that memory again. And so this is going to become a very, let me pause the video as it counts that memory. Okay. And boy, that took a long time. And I'm leaving the starter diskette in the drive because I'm wanting to get into the configuration again and find out if there's a place. And I don't think that there's a place for the 20 and the 30 megabyte. These don't list a hard drive type on the case. And I mean, there could be a reason for that as well, because the 20 and the 30 megabyte, they did run in the 8086 base version of the system, and you didn't have to set the type on those models. And I did a little bit of looking online before I started the video, and I was actually getting ready to, in this lower right-hand corner, I was getting ready to take a picture of with my phone and put an image in there. It's too bad that the hard drive is in the system now. Okay, I just want to look and see if there's a place, because on the we can just do a view configuration for now. And I was looking through before the video just to see of what BIOS version I have on the system. And there's, of the system BIOS versions I have, that I've archived those images, there's one that's an 1988 copyright date, and there's two from 1989. And I do have one of those 1989 versions, and it's listed as revision 2 or 02, which means it's the third version. 00 being the first, 01, and then 02 being a third revision. See, fixed disk uninstalled. So it's, and we can't go through and that's not in brackets, so it's not. And I just wonder if it's and the PS2 model 3286 starter diskette is a little bit different as well, beyond being a starter diskette, in that it doesn't have the show revision levels that are common on the reference diskettes of the IBM PS2s. And then it also has the escape is the quit button, or the back button, instead of F3. F3 is typically the, and let me see, I'm going to try a Control A. Okay, and actually I don't want to test the diskette. Before selecting the okay, so I think I can just do an enter, because I don't think it's, and I did a Control A on the keyboard, and I don't want to go through and do I hear it running the hard drive. Okay. And yes, the list is correct because it's identifying that fixed disk. Okay. I'm just not wanting it to do anything with the disk. It just goes through the test. You can't really specify testing one item, or I'm looking for a place where I could have set the hard drive type. And I don't know if I'm going to entertain this too much. And it may be possible that the only let's just see if the system will and hope the hard drive will. Yeah, that sounds that sounds real good when it comes up now. I need to just don't let those things set for too long. So again, with the memory count, I'm going to pause the video and I'll return when it gets close to completing it. Okay, I'm unpausing the video. It's going through the quick count. And I actually downloaded and I hear it running the hard drive. So there's nothing you have to set otherwise. Do you wish to load the network? Let's just say yes for this initially. Get to see what the network. Okay, it went through. So it's looking for a token ring. And in a Novell directory. Okay. So I'm going to go through, later on I'll review that video. I'm going to pause. I just want to get this image up on a picture over in this lower right hand corner too. I thought it'd be kind of neat to have a picture of the drive that we're looking at least. And I should have taken a picture of it out of the system before we started this, but oh well. So we have a Novell directory. So this video is going to be a little bit more interesting than kind of what I initially thought. Or my hopes are kind of pretty, I mean, I was wondering there when I was not hearing the hard drive spin up. Thinking, well, that kind of, so we do have, okay. And I'm going to, well, I don't need to probably throw this up on the big screen. I can probably just put on my glasses to read. Okay. VGA Max. And so, to further explain, I mean, if I didn't have the ability to read this from the PS2 model 3286, there's no other system. I mean, a model 25-286 would, since that's the same planar that's on those units, would work, but it's I would have been hard out of luck. I wouldn't have had any other system otherwise that reads that proprietary drive interface. And even the older 8086 based Model 30, it only recognized the 20 megabyte hard drive. The last BIOS supposedly went to where it was able to run the 30 megabyte, hard drive that could be put on those units later on. And the Model 25, the 8086 base version, supposedly could run both the 20 megabyte and the 30 megabyte hard drives for that single version that's common out there. And there's supposed to be a second BIOS version that is identified, but it's never been seen in the wild. I've never seen it. The references to it are very vague entirely. So, and this is interesting for this. Oh, VGA Max. And I don't think so the VGA Max, that was, if you look way back in my videos, I have a VGA board that I was putting on the Model 25s to go through and do what's called a ripple. And I was putting them on the Model 25s because I wanted external video out of those Model 25s. And to be able to screen capture it like this. And I don't know why. I mean, those are 16-bit adapters. They're able to run in 8-bit as well. And I do have some of those around still. But the VGA there's VGA for the planar video for the Model 3026. So I don't know why someone would have that zip file or that the board would be on there unless it's, it just might be a little bit newer VGA and with more VRAM or something else. But I had to try that. Put in one of those boards, or I know that I can pair one of those boards with this now. It does have a Windows WinWord. I wonder if it has even Prodigy. I wonder if it does have a Kingston. I'm going to pause the video because if I have a working diskette and I've got the Kingston utility diskette, why can't we put the Kingston utility on there to at least enable that portion, just in case we need it for running in the Windows and things like that. We can look at how that's set up on the system. And so they're right under my nose. This is my box of Kingston upgrades. Get all the little upgrade goodness. And I had thought I was going to store them, but I was smart enough to set them aside because I know I have to do a video on these soon. These are all the different adapters for the 50Z, and let's find one of the ones that like we have in here. Well, these might be, there might be one of these LCM. I think that's for the, I think I have one of these on that, in this Model 30, underneath that memory board. I was mainly looking for that, for the Kingston utility disk. Now, thinking about it, I wouldn't have had, I don't think I would have had Novell on the disk like that unless I've just lost track of how much. Okay, So what we're going to do, we're going to make directory. I don't have to normally specify the drive. Okay, and I'm going to go copy. There's no hidden files or subdirectories or anything else I had to worry about for like an X copy. Well, let me get over. Let me get into that directory and then copy. Yeah. Uh-oh. I was hearing noises from that diskette drive. And we're going to get the diskette out. Okay, let's run. I think I've done this on video before. And since I was digging around outside and everything, I've had the heater alternately on and off, although it dries things out when it's on. So I put on my coat. Okay, and we can see that it's showing about almost 7 megahertz. It's that's rating that. Okay, and we're enabling it. And let's do the speed test again. Okay, and we see what an improvement it is and how it relates that with that enabler program that goes through and enables the cache and uses that functionality. And so that is a 30, as it was reporting there, it is a 33 megahertz Kingston upgrade, the highest one you can get. So and I don't think okay. I don't hope that there's, in fact, rather than wonder, let's go through and look at how, okay, so it just has basic VGA, even though that oh, and let's even see what. So PC-DOS 5. Good. Okay. So I do maybe have to be in that. It's not on my path. Okay, Windows 3.0. And I do have a mouse connected too. Oh wow. So I'm pretty sure that this is not. Yeah, this doesn't look like anything that I've. Not that I remember. But that was an interesting IBM background. That's got to be a, and it's 386 enhanced mode because we've got that Kingston upgrade and all this memory. 75 megahertz of free system resources. Grammatic. Wow. Math editor. File. And we do have a little bit that's off the screen with this video capture, but just cuts off that right-hand edge. January 28th, 1991. Wow. Spelling and thesaurus. So I think this 45 megabyte drive, and of course I need to archive the contents. I would have thought it would have had an about dialogue for that to show maybe who this would have been registered to. Yeah, neato. Huh. A view of what was to come, maybe. And then this odd, the instance where that rightmost menu or the help menu was right justified. Neato. And of course I'm not on a good, I have the cable length to do it if I don't have these tangles. Okay, get the tangles out. Get it on a little bit better of mouse pad. Now, I always think these are going to be just a short, and we're a little bit over 30 minutes now. So that's not too bad for all this discovery. But yeah, I need to go through. Okay, I'm set up a little bit better for mouse and keyboard now. I can probably put my glasses on just to see. And I'm familiar with the Windows 3.x version of Word, like Word 2.0 and Word, I'm trying to think if Word 6 was still a Windows 3.x version. But this acts like it has, oh, played a little music. IBM PS2, U model, IBM Academic Edition. So again, I'm very certain that I've not been I've not seen this on this hard drive on the system. And I have no idea where I acquired it. but some little cool tools there. I have to get used to the so it even identifies this 8530U42. What was the sub? Yeah, they were identifying this as the E41. I'll have to look up. What that model is, because oh, hide the wrong thing here. CW. Okay. And it's certainly if people recognized some of these programs, GMK word. And that little icon in the upper left-hand corner of these windows, that's like, you know, some vendors were allowed to modify that, or they went through and came up with a personalization or a branding that they could do. So it'd be interesting even getting a token ring more on this. And I mean, later on when I get a equivalent network set up here. This pen. Okay, finally opened. Projibat. That's not a whole bunch of. It's not a whole bunch of programs in the Proji directory. We didn't look at the. That's some sort of Olay. And that's going to be a Windows program with the Olay stuff. And I just have this soapbox, or what they call the soap bar mouse. So it's a little bit. Okay, so there's the. Yeah, I just wonder what that VGA max.zip is, if that's something associated with TBK. And my father's business, when he was a Xerox dealer, they had an application called T-Book, and it was very intensive for the system. In fact, initially it was a 286 processor, and I put 4 megabyte of planar memory. And I don't know if I don't even think I was aware of any adapter memory at that point with that system. But it was that 286 took the 1 megabit chip. So you could have 9 of those chips together to make up a megabyte, and then 4 banks would make up 4 megabyte, which is a wild number for RAM at that time on a 286 motherboard. And then later on I replaced it with a 46 system, but on the 286 system we had just Windows 3.0. So Control Escape is the, yeah, why does help? Am I not? Oh, okay. I'm not selecting the right. I'm selecting that toolbook. That's interesting. But yeah, that T-book application in this instance, and it doesn't look anything similar to this, was very resource intensive. Okay. So this might even be a neato little program to experiment with, to look at all sorts of little and this looks like some games or something. Minesweeper probably. Yeah. And these are standard Windows games. I don't have any desire to play Minesweeper right now. Okay, we're at 42 minutes. Tetris. So some neat kind of games. And whatever Cruel is. Windows and their WinWord. Okay, nothing in the temp. If I can get my mouse to move like I want. Yeah, that just gives a dialog. I don't think Microsoft had gotten into showing, you know, the owner of the system yet, or kind of that registration aspect. I don't think we want to save settings. Word tutorial. Microsoft Diagnostics. So these are just iconized versions of DOS. Ultimately, the MSD program is a DOS program. Oh. So crash. Okay, so then we have... Let's just get these as icons, because I want to see what might be. Somebody tiled all these in place, and someone long time ago, I guess. But I'll be mean. And because we didn't have the utilities, that's interesting. So it formats 720 diskette or 1.44. The complete backup, and that might be worthwhile to check on for the hard drive stuff that we have here. And customize backup. Entertainment's probably those games. Yeah, Minesweeper, Idlewild, Golf. Cruel, I guess, is some form of solitaire. Word High, Pegged, Reversey. Tactics. And Tetris. Tape. Anybody's familiar with those games? I mean, those might be some neato games. I think all these folders were the ones that were tiled in up on the screen. It's got okay, file manager, and all your accessories. That was tiled up before, and help. Oh, okay. So, kind of neat little stuff to Windows there. Windows 3.0 on this system for that drive. Yeah. So this turned out to be a good full-length video for me. Let's get it to drop that. Okay, and it's putting me in Windows. I don't even know if I have the full screen editor. Yeah. Okay, escape. Ray Harris disk image upgrade. June 13th of 1995. So whoever had this is a pretty elaborate batch file person. Wow. Set dummy. I don't know what they're doing for some of the boot. PS. There you go. This is going to take a lot of study for me to remember. Look at how that auto exec just goes DOS shell, just goes on and on forever. Wow. So I'm glad I got this to spin up, and now that I've ran it and powered it up, I mean, it should not have any of that stiction anymore, but it's just a reminder to me to run those old hard drives now and again to keep them in every motor that's supposed to be run to do what it's supposed to do in a much shorter config sys. But that was interesting for all that. I didn't expect all that neato stuff to be on that drive. I need to archive it for if that does, if the drive does quit, and just to examine it out on other systems and some neat little programs. But wow. So that system, that hard drive, unlike the Model 50 drives I had, I got, I think, one of those booting. This looks pretty complete. It's able to boot up, able to run on the Model 3286. Ran into some initial things where it complained, but with that reference, or the starter diskette, we got through all that. So if you enjoyed this content, click on that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There'll be some weird and wild content like this that I didn't have any way of anticipating what this would come up like. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.